Lean in with Lisa, put her to the test. Lean in with Lisa, so get it off your chest. It's more than just a trend, cause everyone's her friend. So lean in with Lisa, spend your time with Lisa. Lisa's got something to say. So reach out to Lisa every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast, Lean In with Lisa. Today's guest is someone very, very special. And she is not only a terrific actress, but she is also the author of the book Eat, Pray, #FML. Fuck my life. Her name is Gabrielle Stone.
So reach out to Lisa every day.
Hey,
Hi.
Gabrielle.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here with me. You are a badass.
Oh, thank you.
in
I'll
a really
own that.
good way.
I'll own that.
Own it up to the clouds. Own it. Because, first of all, your story, I was glued to your book.
Oh,
I could not.
yay.
Do you want to see this book? Wait, I have to show you this book. Wait, it looks a little wrinkled. It's like a little bent.
It's
but
okay. That means it was read well and worn.
It was read well and worn.
I love it.
It was read on the toilet. It was read in bed. It was read in the Uber. It was read everywhere. It was read everywhere. And I couldn't put it down. You lived my dream.
Yay.
I have always wanted to do what you did at your age. And I never got to Europe until I was 50.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
that
I
how-
feel like I wish I would have gone sooner. And I went when I was 28.
You were 28.
Yeah.
I mean, so look where you went.
Yeah. It was amazing.
How many countries did you go to?
I did 6 countries over the span
30
of a month.
A month, like 30 days.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. You're such a naughty girl. I love it.
I love that.
Love it. I know. I knew I would love you. Who curses more, you or Joe Pesci or me?
I mean, that might be a toss up, but I mean, I do swear probably too much for most people's appetite.
So I need to give my younger daughter $1 every time I swear. So she's already a millionaire.
I love that.
But no, but that the minute I started turning the pages. I'm not going to say too much because I want people to read your book. I was like, we're going to go to lunch.
I love that. I think if I could have actually made the title what FML stands for, I would have. If I was, could just plaster the F word across the cover of a book. But we decided for marketing purposes that FML was the better route to take.
And I love that it's Eat, Pray, and it's #FML. It's just perfect. Now, I wanted to ask you. Oh, by the way, because of the book, it took place in Europe, most of it. I wore my shirt that my daughter just came back from the Cannes Film Festival. She was interning there as an intern.
Amazing!
Look at my shirt. She gave me this shirt.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm so jealous. I've been so ready for the last year to just get out of the country.
Yes, and she told me, Mom, incredible. Like just the people. I can understand why you didn't want to come home for many reasons.
Yes.
Now, I was going to wear this shirt, but then I said, nah. Will you still love me tomorrow?
Oh, I love that.
That's from the show Beautiful that Carole King wrote.
Nice.
The show Beautiful that Carole King wrote. Because your story is based on love. I mean, it's all about love and soul searching and survival and dealing with so much stuff.
Yeah.
And your story is something I think many women can relate to in so many ways. And I think that anyone who's now watching this podcast, you don't have to, you really could be a man or a woman because it's about heartbreak. It's about, well, you tell me. It's your
Yeah, I
book.
mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Heartbreak and grief is universal. So I have a lot of male readers that relate to it once they can get past the fact that, there's pink writing on the cover. And yeah, it's resonated with a lot of people, not only because of the subject matter, but because I wanted to write it in a very blunt and, in your face type of way where it feels like you're sitting down talking to your girlfriend. But for people that don't know about the book, let me kind of give a little bit of backstory. So I was married for almost 2 years when I found out my husband was having an affair with a 19-year-old for 6 months. Filed
And
for
you were at the
divorce.
time, how old
What?
were you at the time? You were what, 20,
I was
26,
28 when that happened.
28,
Yeah.
28. Okay.
Filed for divorce, left, and shortly after that, met a guy. We fell madly in love with each other and had this crazy whirlwind romance.
Don't go out with Latin guys, ladies.
You can't put them all in that category, but yes, he was Latin.
I
And
feel like that's already dangerous, but go
right,
ahead.
red flag number one.
Red flag.
And he convinced me to join him on a month-long trip to Italy. And 48
My
hours
favorite place.
Yeah, 48 hours before we were getting on the plane, he told me he needed to go by himself. And I was absolutely devastated. He broke my heart like my ex-husband never could have done. And I was sitting at my mother's house because I was divorced and back living with my mom, and sitting on my bed in a pool of tears. And I had a decision to make, and that was either stay at home heartbroken or go travel Europe for a month by myself. So I took a backpack and did 6 countries over the span of a month and wrote Eat, Pray, FML about it.
And you stayed at all these different hostels all over Europe
Yes, I
with
did.
your,
And the
with
only
your,
thing I knew about hostels when I was getting on the plane to go over there was that there was a movie about it and people get brutally murdered in that movie. I had no idea that it was a thing, and it was totally life-changing for me. The whole trip really, I came back a different human in all of the best ways.
okay. So, all right. Your mother, first of all, I love your mom. For those of you who don't know who Gabrielle's mom, can I say who your mom
Of
is?
course.
Oh, Gabrielle's mom is Dee Wallace Stone, who was actually on my first podcast, and we had a blast. Dee, first of all, your mom adores you. Dee, your mom and I did a radio show about a year and a half ago, and our conversation was all about our daughters
Oh, I love that.
and and how much we love our daughters. Now, 15 years ago, I was at the gym in the locker room, and there was your mom,
Ah,
and we start shooting the shit, and we're talking again about our daughters. Except you guys, you and my older daughter, you were much younger at the time. You were teenagers. So we talked about how important it was to empower our daughters
mm,
as women who choose the right men.
yeah.
How important it is to choose the right man. And I distinctly remember your mom saying to me, I only hope that my daughter, when she's older, chooses the right man.
Ah,
And I said the same thing, because whenever I tell my daughters now, my older daughter's 23, my younger daughter's 13, I say, you got to choose a guy who is caring, loving, polite, but makes you feel great about yourself when you're with him.
mhm.
Whether if you're straight or if you're gay, I don't care what you are, you choose a partner who's going to make you feel really good about who you are when you're with them, and don't settle for anything less.
Absolutely.
Now, you were very close to your father, and I know you lost him at a very young age. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, what was your relationship with your dad like?
I was a daddy's girl. I mean, we played baseball and, watched the Dodger games in bed. And I loved my dad. And losing him, and in the way I lost him, because my mom was in New Zealand shooting a movie called The Frighteners, and I was at home with my dad and my nanny. And I ran into his room to wake him up, and he wasn't there. And I ended up finding him on the bathroom floor. And that's a really traumatic thing to go through at that
Mm,
age.
mm,
Not only to then realize that you're going to grow up without a dad, but to find him in that way, I think subconsciously really screwed me up in a few different ways. And God bless my mom. She did the best she could. She flew straight home, got all of the affairs in order, took me and my nanny back to New Zealand, and she
yeah.
finished the film. But it, of course, even with therapy, is going to do some damage to a little girl. And that's really where the
Yeah.
first big subconscious belief came up in my life, which was fear of abandonment and not wanting to be alone.
Well, I understand it because I lost my mom when I was 21, and I wasn't that close to my dad, but my mom was my best friend, like your
Mm,
mom is your best friend.
yeah.
So I didn't, but she died of cancer. She suffered, for a while. So we knew it was going to happen
Yeah.
eventually. But with your dad, I mean, talk about PTSD, talk about the trauma that you dealt with,
Yeah.
and for a little girl to deal with that. So you then started, as you got older, you would go out with men. You always needed a man in your life.
Yeah, I think I definitely grew up always playing out that fear of abandonment. So for me, it was not wanting to be alone. So I always had a boyfriend, or I always had friends over, or I always had a roommate. And I was very rarely just ever by myself. And I started, you don't ever get over something like that happening, but you start to heal from it. And time definitely helps. And when I was 18, I lost my boyfriend very suddenly and tragically in a car accident. And that same wound was then ripped wide open all over again. And it was reinstilled in me that, like, when I love someone, they die, and fear of abandonment.
Hmm. Right. So then you end up focusing on men who are maybe, I mean, not really have that they don't have the qualities that they should have
No, I
because
disagree with that. If you and anyone knew my ex husband, like, my mom loved my ex husband. He fooled
but he was a
everyone.
but isn't that a
A
sociopath?
100%. But, like, you don't, meet a sociopath and go, oh, I
All
see
right,
all
you
these
don't know.
sociopathic tendencies.
Yes.
So yeah, he had a lot of really great qualities at the time before that flip switched in his head. And same with Javier, who's the man that invited me to Europe. He has a lot of really great qualities. They were just both very broken in very different ways. But I think that they were both instrumentally put in my life and in my path for me to go on this trip and have
Oh,
this
without a doubt.
experience, because if I wouldn't, I would have an entirely different life now.
I completely agree. I think what you did, meeting this friend group, Jacob, could I say it? Meeting Chris,
Yeah.
meeting the woman whose coat you wore,
Anike, yes, yes. I met so many
Anike.
amazing people on
Oh
that
my
trip.
God, in Barcelona and Amsterdam and in Mykonos. And I mean, I see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
I see your story on the big screen. And but I had a couple of things that really bothered me about this because, and I, I shouldn't judge because I don't want to be judgmental, but you deserved, as your friends told you, you deserved so much more, and to be treated in such a um, more respectful way,
Mhm.
and yet you didn't want to give up that one guy.
Yep.
You kept. And the mother, oh my God, the mother. I mean, every time she reached out to you, I wanted to kind of close the book, but then I opened it again because I was so angry that she got so involved
Oh,
because
that's
it
so
would feed it
interesting that
because it would feed into your vulnerability, because every time you would be ready, you're on your way now to, like, okay, I'm going to open up my heart to maybe Chris, or I'm going to open up my heart to someone. You were about to, and then all of a sudden the text would come in, hi, and then she would say something like, well, uh, I really don't know why, he's being this way, and because you deserve, and I really love you, look, I understand she loved you, but I mean, it felt like it was just getting you more riled up, more.
That's so interesting that you have that experience from reading. And I don't know if it's because you're a mother yourself, but she was kind of like my saving grace on that trip, because my
Was she
mom
really?
is my best friend, and she was so angry at Javier that she couldn't even talk about it. I mean, I couldn't process my feelings in a
Because she's
vocalized way talking to her.
Yes, I
And
understand. I understand.
his mother became that for me. And most of the times when those texts would happen, and I would get pulled back were from Javier, not his mother. There were many times where I reached out to her, and she had asked me point blank, like, do you mind if I check on you throughout the trip? And I said, yes, please, because I felt like I needed
You needed
someone
that.
that had a
Yeah.
connection to this person that was just ripped away from me. So that's so
But don't you
interesting that you
think
have that you had that experience.
I did? And I have to say, don't you think that listen, I've dated more guys than you could imagine. I mean, I was a serial dater and I fell in love with some of the mothers and some of them I would run for the hills.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? But don't you think that in the end that Javier was her number one? He was her son.
Of course he was her son, but
So
there was
even
no
though
point when she would talk to me where she favored his side. In fact, it more so felt like she was on my side most of the time. And
it did sound like that.
Javier wouldn't even talk to her or open up about things because she would put him in his place about it and be like, this is terrible what you've done. And like, you're not right for doing this.
Well,
So
yes. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad she did that. Um, did you, when your mom met Javier for the first time, I remember she had said something to him. When she said what she said to him,
yeah.
I would have died. Like if it were me and my mother said that to him, my guy I was like crazy about, I don't know how I would have been like I would have killed my mom. Like I would have been like, I can't believe I can't, no, I can't believe you said that. You know,
I think she was so
but she loves you so much
yeah,
and
and
she's
like
protective of you.
she had just seen me go through this like brutal divorce.
Divorce
So of
with
course
a
she was
sociopath.
wary and protective, and everybody in my life was like, "This is moving too fast. What's going on?" But I mean, clearly Javier did not heed that warning, so it really didn't matter regardless.
It didn't matter regardless. That's true. That's true. Um, during this trip, did you ever think maybe that there was someone else?
That he had someone else. You know, I didn't. That never crossed my mind because he had been so open and honest with me about what he was going through, and I was talking to his mother about it and talking to his sister about it and talking to his best friend about it. So there wasn't ever that never crossed my mind. You will eventually, you know, if you read the sequel, which is just came out about a week and a half ago, so it's out now.
Oh, yay.
We find out some interesting things that happened on the trip with him, but there was never, you know, that wasn't the reason for the initial breakup.
Okay. So you can't tell me yet. I mean, I don't know. I do you still talk to him?
You'd have to read the sequel to find out.
I have to. Okay. I'll read the sequel. Okay. But
But
okay.
there's
So I'm going
lots
to
more.
ask you.
I will say there's lots more to the story. You know, he doesn't just disappear, and the sequel is totally not about him. There's definitely some Javier stuff in there.
Okay, you're not going to tell me you're married with 3 kids.
Oh my God, no.
Okay.
No.
If you ever had if you had the chance to do it over, like would you have done it? Would you have? No, that's a stupid question. If you, as much as you loved this guy, and you went through what you went through, would you do it? Would you have done it over? You know what? Yeah, you should. What he did you a favor. He did you a favor.
Oh,
You know that
hugely. I
he
mean,
did you a favor.
he changed my
Yes,
life in many,
he
many
changed your
ways.
life.
He set me on a different career path. He helped me go on this crazy journey to heal, and I would do
Yes,
all of it with all the heartbreak 10 times over if it meant I ended
right,
up where I'm at now.
right. Because you learned to love Gabrielle.
Yeah.
You learned to. I mean, you became this strong, incredible, brave, courageous, ballsy. I mean, you were like a different person from the beginning towards the as it went on and on and on. And
Hugely.
like it was like I was envisioning you and I saw this, it's like this little girl grow into a woman.
Oh.
This beautiful woman.
Yeah, it totally was a life-changing trip for me, and I came back feeling like an entirely different human.
Do you keep in touch with everybody?
I keep in touch with a lot of people that I met on the trip. Chris is in the sequel as well. So I've maintained a friendship with him. Mallory it's so funny because I have to like, Chris
Mallory.
and the main people, I know their book names. But the people that I don't talk about quite as often, I always have to stop and like think if I'm saying the right name. So Mallory from Barcelona, I keep in touch with often, and she actually did an episode of my podcast, FML Talk, where she came on and
Oh,
we
cool.
reminisced about all the Barcelona stuff. Rhonda from Barcelona came to the release party of Eat Pray FML, so I've kept in touch with a lot of them.
Fun.
Jason from Amsterdam that I went and traveled with in Mykonos.
I love
We stay
Jason.
in touch. So yeah, I made a
Oh,
ton of
that's
new
great.
friends on that trip.
You made a ton of new friends. Like my daughter, so she just got back from working at the Cannes Film Festival, and she said she met people from all over the world, and it's her new friend group.
Yeah.
It's a new friend group that she said, "Mom, if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have met these people." And now they're like constantly in touch with each other. It's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
That's awesome. I love that.
And that's so. And so, let me ask you this: do you know that? Do you know what I did for almost 20 years
No, I do
before
not.
I was a professional matchmaker.
Oh my God, shut up.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah. And I had women like you, very strong, beautiful women, smart women, coming to me for advice and trying to help them find their compatible match, their partner, lifelong partner, wanted to settle down, have a family. When you meet a man, I want to ask you, when you meet a man now, after this whole entire experience you had, do you look for red flags? Are you more conscious?
Yeah, I mean, I think from all the healing work I've done now, I can look back at the relationship with my ex-husband, the relationship with Javier, and see red flags in certain areas. Javier's a bit trickier because he didn't just come out and say he was dealing with this big grief, and he didn't seem as depressed as he really was. But as far as like, how fast it moved and what I now know is love bombing, 100%, I can see, certain red flags with both of those relationships. I'm not meeting men anymore because I'm in a very happy, healthy relationship now. But yeah, I mean, of course, when I started dating again, I was very cognizant of what people would refer to as red flags.
So when you would say that you're not dating right now because you're in a really healthy relationship, are you saying you're in a healthy relationship with yourself, or
Oh,
you're in a
yeah.
relationship with, or
Well,
you're in a very
both.
so you are in a relationship with someone right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We live together. We have 3 dogs. We own a house together. We're in it.
Okay, that is fantastic. That is really good to hear.
Thank you.
And does mommy like him?
Mom loves him. Everyone loves him. It's like almost
Good.
annoying because, people will read a lot in the sequel of how we met and like the tumultuous road that it took for us to get here. But from the beginning, everybody's loved him. Everyone's always been on his team.
How did you meet?
We actually met 10 years ago on a film set. He played my older brother, and then we went off and got married, and he had a child, and then we both got divorced. And when I came back from Europe, we randomly ran into each other at a bar and started from there.
So it's not Chris.
No, but people will, the first answer question I always get after is, do you still talk to Javier, and did Chris come to LA? And all of that is answered in the sequel, I promise.
Okay. Then people, you got to read, first you got to read this, read the first one. And then after I read the sequel, you'll come back on the show.
Yeah, I would love that.
Why do you think you were born to save people? Like, I feel like you are this amazing, my daughter's a little like you. People gravitate towards her because she's so easy to be with. She has this, because you are very confident. You really are.
Thank
You're very
you.
confident. You have a very nice confidence about you. So friends love being around you. And I could
I
see
hope
what
so.
well, no, it was obvious when you met all these people in Europe. I mean, they all wanted you to come here with them and here with them and let's do this together. Let's jump off cliffs and this and that. You really jumped off. You jumped off a cliff?
I did.
You really jumped.
I really
What did
did.
it
I
feel
have it on
like?
video.
How what?
There's proof.
Oh my God, I have to see the video. But yeah, so you could tell that do you get it from you? Is your mom that way? Does she like to taking care of
Yeah,
people?
I think so. And she, I grew up on film sets and watching her, and I've always been outgoing, but I think I've stepped into it more so with the healing that I've done. I think that's like the confidence that people see now. And it's interesting because my mom, apart from being an actress, is also a world healer. She does sessions with
Yes.
people all over the world every day. And whenever we would go see psychics or she would, meet someone that was really intuitive, they'd say, "Oh, your daughter is going to be really big in the healing space as well." And I always was like, "No, like I'm not. I
You're not
love and
like that, right?
appreciate her work, but I'm never going to do that. I'm not called to do it.
Hello.
I benefit from it all the time. But yeah, I guess whatever all of those people were picking up on is the way that the books that I've written is reaching people and healing people and helping them through.
It's beautiful. And I think a lot of people who will read your books will definitely benefit from it because there are so many people out there. Being a matchmaker all those years, I met so many women whose husbands left them for someone else. Who, I mean, they've been through. Listen, some of these women were in their 40s and 50s when it happened, and a woman as they get older, it's much harder for them to meet someone, and especially a woman in her 50s. So I think this book would be great for any age. I mean,
Oh,
literally
I have
for
readers that
any
reach out to
age.
me that are 65
Yeah.
and 70. I have
Yes.
one reader who was in her 60s and was like, "I read your book and filed for divorce the next day."
Yeah.
And then I have
Yeah.
readers that are like, "I read your book and it saved my marriage because it made me realize all this stuff that I was doing." So it's been incredibly fulfilling and rewarding to receive the amount of messages that I get from people all over the world. I mean, I have people that have reached out to me from Canada and the UK and Australia and Tanzania. It's wild.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I'm telling you, listen, I remember years ago when I was going through a divorce myself, and I read the book by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read it. That was my Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is the new Bible.
Oh, I love that.
People, how do you get this book anyway?
It's
I think I bought it
exclusively
at Barnes and Noble.
on Amazon or
Oh,
on my
Amazon,
website.
Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, and it's
What
paperback, ebook, hardcover, and audiobook, which I narrate.
what oh, you have an audiobook.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, they could listen to it in the car.
Yeah. You can do the
Yeah.
sequel that way.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so you we're going to what's your website?
Eatprayfml.com.
We're going to post it when we post the podcast.
Oh,
We're going to
cool.
post that so people can
Yeah, and that's where like all the podcast
buy your
information
book.
is. All the things are on the website.
Good, good. Do you think if you weren't a really good salsa dancer that you and Javier would have hit it off?
You know what? I didn't know how to salsa when he and I met. Like we were going to hip hop type clubs, and I'm just a great dancer in general because I grew up dancing for years.
Right.
But I didn't know how
Right.
to salsa dance until I came back from Europe. I started like going to salsa clubs and stuff, and now I absolutely love it. It's my
You
favorite
love
thing to
it?
do. But no, I mean, actually, if it weren't for the dance element, we probably wouldn't have connected on the level that we did that soon.
I think so. I was thinking about that. I
Yeah.
was wondering about that. Do they still is that salsa? Do they still have that place? What was the place in Los Feliz that everyone used to go salsa dancing?
I don't know. There's El Floridita.
I don't.
There's some newer ones out. I've never been to one in Los Feliz.
There's one in Los Feliz, I think.
I mean, they're
It was
everywhere
the
though, so I'm sure there
yeah,
are.
they're all over.
Yeah.
It was the great. Oh, by the way, look what I'm drinking. You ready? Look what I'm drinking.
Oh my God, I love it.
Because you told me. Wait, you said
Self-love cocktail.
this is my cocktail.
Oh my God, I love it. all the olives.
Mm. Is this the kind of cocktail you were talking about?
I mean, like to each their own. Alcohol is optional in the self-love cocktail, whatever floats your boat.
You mean I should be on my Peloton right now?
I love it.
I picked the wrong cocktail.
Hey, whatever's making you happy. That's what it's about.
Really?
Yeah.
So I could do this and then go on my Peloton?
100%. If that's what's making your soul happy, more power to you.
Thank you.
You have my permission.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to take you to lunch. So listen, where did you get this? I don't know if you want to talk about this, but the thought onion.
Yeah, totally. So it's funny because I came up with it when I was walking home on the streets of London, my first day of kind of adventuring around by myself. And when I got home, I wrote it down in my journal that I was writing the book in. And I was like, God, I have to change that name. That's so freaking dumb. Like the thought onion. Like I have to come up with something better. And then I kept using it over and over throughout the trip, and it just finally stuck, and I never changed it. So the thought onion is my technique of how you can look at thoughts and reactions you're having and figure out what's underneath them and causing them, to then heal that subconscious belief so you can have a different reaction or thought in the future. So it's a healing technique. And you look at it like an onion. The first layer is the superficial thought, and it's the knee-jerk reaction you have right when something happens, that initial thought that happens before you can even control your brain. And you take a step back and peel that back, and then you get to the authentic thought. And that's kind of like the emotion that's sitting under the surface that's causing that initial reaction in the first place. And you take a step back and peel that layer back, and you get to the subconscious thought. And that's like where the real meat and potatoes golden nugget is. And it's usually a childhood trauma or a long stemming subconscious belief. And when you can get to that layer and figure out not only to be aware of it, but what you can do to adjust it in the future and heal it, then you can start to have different reactions and thoughts in the future.
So by the time you're peeling all these layers, you're crying like you've never cried in your life.
Luckily, it's a metaphorical onion because I can't do the kitchen onions.
Me neither. Do you think you could really get back with an ex-lover?
I think there's different situations for different people. I think anything is possible if two people decide to put in the work and want to change for the better.
Yeah, but don't you think once you don't think once it's over, it's over?
Well, I broke up with the guy I've been with 3 times, and here we are living together happily ever after. So, yeah, I think it's possible for sure. If the people are wanting to do the work and heal and can really grow together.
They both have to do the work.
Yes, 100%.
Right? Right? It goes both ways, right?
Yep.
Because if one does the work and the other one doesn't.
Oh, no, that'll never work.
One is here, one is here, and one is there.
Yeah, it'll never work.
It'll never work. What advice would you give your children, daughter, son, whatever? What advice would you give them as they grow up? What would you tell them?
Oh God, so many things. But if I had to pick one, to not take things that happen in your younger years too seriously. So many times I would go through breakups or something would happen and I would think this is like the world is ending and this is going to be the hardest thing that I've ever dealt with in my entire life. There's always something that's harder and you're always going to survive it and you're going to learn and grow from that experience. So I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. You can't always see that reason when it's happening. But there's always a reason.
And that's really good advice. It's such good advice because it isn't the end of the world and things, it'll always sometimes turn into a positive.
Yeah. Oh, hugely. I'm a walking example of that.
You're a walking example. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, there were moments when I wanted to catch you. I wanted to catch you. And especially, I mean, do you still cry as much?
No, I mean, no, not nearly as much. I mean, I was crying a
Good,
lot on that
good.
trip because it was,
Yes, I know, I
I
know.
was dealing with so much and going through so much.
I
And
know, but
it was my therapy to cry and to write about it.
oh, and then, well, I don't want to mention that, but there's some hot stuff in this book.
There's some what?
There's some really hot
Oh
stuff
yeah,
in this book.
we dabble in the 50 Shades
You
of Grey.
you definitely get down and dirty. You're a very naughty little girl.
I mean, hey, when my mom first read the first draft of this,
That's what I wanted to know. What did your mom think?
yeah, she looked at me and said, "God, Gabrielle, are you sure you don't want to change your name or take out one of the men you slept with?" And I said, "No, Mom, because that would be inauthentic and people are going to relate to how real this is because I'm not sugarcoating it." And lo and behold, it's landed with people, I think, because of that, because I didn't edit things or tone things down. And the second time she read it was when it was fully published in its full form. And she called me crying and said, I was working with a healing client today that was saying, I just like don't know how to love myself and can't grasp it. And she's like, I didn't know how to put into words how she could start doing that and practicing that. And then I sat down, finished your book, and it was there sitting, like the answer that I was looking for my client was sitting in the final pages of my daughter's book. So she was just very proud after the initial shock wore off.
Well, when I met your mom for the first time, no, actually not the second time we were together, actually, she said to me, she was talking about your book, and she said, I said, tell me, tell me about it. She says, oh, you have to read it. You have to read her book. And I said, oh, yeah, yeah, okay. And she says, oh my God, you don't know what my daughter's been through.
Oh, yeah. And for the sequel, because a lot of her clients have read the book and love it as well. And now the sequel's out, and she prefaces it with, it's a little risque. There's some sex, and every single one of her
Right.
clients, like even like huge, healing gurus, come back to her and they're like, "Oh, I
Right.
fucking loved it, Dee. I mean, it was amazing. We've
Yeah.
all had those experiences. We've all done the things, and if we didn't, we wish we would have. So we love reading about it." And it's like,
Of
it's just
course.
real.
Of
It's real and
course.
authentic to like
Yes.
who people are.
Well, reading some of this, the different scenarios took me back to my single, when I was single, and I was a dating. Well, I wasn't a whore, but I was definitely I would say I was definitely a serial dater. I dated everybody. I didn't sleep with everybody, but I dated. I can't even count how many men I did. I mean, I would date the short guy, the tall guy, the
Oh, I
big, the
love it.
skinny guy, the fat guy, the bald guy. I even when they didn't, speak English, I dated him too. And I mean, the hot guy, the not so hot guy. So I just think women, that's what, you need to like, it's like an interview. It's like you're interviewing somebody for a job. You're interviewing somebody to be your husband. You're interviewing somebody to be the father of your child. And that's how it should be. So, I say to women, date your ass off.
Yeah. But date against your type.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. I have something called the 180-degree turnaround that I talk about whenever I'm talking to clients. And I wanted you to do that. Like I said, she has to change her pattern.
Oh,
She's
well,
got to change
that's
against her
what
type.
happened, basically. When I came
It
home
did?
from Europe, my current
Okay.
guy walked into my life and I was like, he's not, like, this is all wrong for me. He was 15 years older than me. He had a child, like, not where I
You wouldn't
saw
even
and
think of it.
pictured
Right.
myself going. And here we are.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you did change your pattern.
I did.
That
Or
is
the universe delivered me a different type of person.
congratulations.
Yeah.
And does he treat you like
Oh
you
my
should
God,
be
he's
treated?
wonderful. And it's so fun now because he's been on my podcast and people obviously see him and our relationship on social media. And now everybody is reading about him. And so many of my FMLers are like, oh my God, we picture his voice as the character when we're reading, and it's so amazing to like, we feel like we know him and you. So yeah, I mean, everyone just adores him, and as do I. I don't think many men could be in a relationship where their significant other talks about their exes every single day in some capacity. And he's so
I can't imagine
supportive
that.
and so loving, and I can't say enough good stuff about him.
Because he's a confident man, and
Yeah.
you needed a confident man. You can't have an insecure man.
No.
Not with you.
No.
Because you're big. You're a big personality.
Yeah.
You walk into a room and it's like, hello.
Well, and he's that way too. We used to joke that, you know, his ex, who, you know, we're all great friends, and they
Good.
co-parent together. But his ex used to always say, you know, it's really hard to compete with you because we walk into a room and everybody's like, oh my God, who's that? And he's like, hey, it's the Tay Show. And like, now we walk into a room together and he's like, oh, okay, I got to share screen time with Gabrielle, because we're both very much, we have that energy about us. And it happens to work really well together. We've never had like a power struggle about it. So,
Oh, that's perfect. What's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio, and I'm on the cusp of Scorpio Sag.
You're on the cusp?
Yeah.
So you're what's your November?
November 20th.
November
And
20th.
he's a
And then
Gemini.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. And I've heard horror stories about Gemini, but he's restored my faith in that sign.
Well, it's similar to I'm Aquarius, and my husband is a Virgo.
Okay.
And I've heard horror stories about that too.
Yeah.
We're still together.
Not
so
that I know
that's good.
that much about astrology. I just know the signs that I've dated
Yes.
that I don't want to ever date again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll drink to that. Yes, I will.
I love it.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that you've never been asked. And
Okay.
if you've been asked them, then tell me to shut up.
I'll be so surprised because I've done hundreds of interviews around this topic, so I'm ready.
Okay. If you had to live on the moon for the next 30 years and you could have one DVD with you, which one would you bring?
Oh my God. Okay, you're right. I've never been asked that. And the answer would be Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Because I feel like if you're going to be on the moon for 30 years, it has to be a comedy. And that's my all-time favorite comedy.
My husband's all-time favorite.
Yeah.
My husband's
that movie.
favorite.
I can literally recite the script as it goes, and it drives people crazy.
And my older daughter, loves. And my younger daughter's seen it too.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. It's like,
it's a
and you can watch it over and over
it's a feel-good, fun laugh comedy.
And you could come in on any part and you'll just like, right?
Yep.
That's a good one. Let's see. Which decade has better clothing style? This has nothing to do with your book.
Oh my God, I love these.
Which decade has better clothing style, the 1920s or the 2020s?
The 1920s.
Why?
Because everything, in my opinion, has gone to shit the more we've like overdone it.
Yes.
Music, like everything.
Oh, everything.
Yeah, the 1920s would be so much more fun.
And what's your favorite era of music? That you've been asked, but I'm just curious.
I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, so that's like my nostalgia music. If I ever want to feel good, I put on, 90s Pandora, and I'll get down to that.
Florence and the Machine.
Yes. But also I grew up with Spice Girls and NSYNC, so that'll always have a girl band, boy band will have a special place in my heart. But I also grew up with my mother, who is obsessed with 60s music. And I love some good 60s tunes for sure.
Oh, your mom and I are definitely on the same page. Did your mom ever work with anyone in a movie that scared you?
That scared me, like a character or them as a human?
Either one.
No, honestly, I was 7 years old when I was on the set of The Frighteners with her, and she was like, look, mommy's bleeding, but it's fake. Lick it. It's corn syrup. So I was exposed to all of that at a very early age. But there has been 2 films there's one that I just won't watch again, and one that I don't like to watch.
The Howling.
That like affected me really badly when she died. Spoiler alert, when she died in them. One was a short film that we did together, and our really good friend directed it, and I play her daughter in it. And the scene where she actually doesn't die, but she almost dies, and it's so brutal, and it upset me so much, and I'll never watch it again. I've never
That
seen
would
it
give me
since
nightmares.
the first time.
Oh my
And then
God.
Rob Zombie's Halloween. She has a brutal death in that. And right before Michael Myers like snaps her neck, he shows her a picture of her daughter, which is played by Scout Compton, who I'm really good friends with now. But I also know that she was imagining that photo as me. And it's just so brutal to watch. It's not a fun death scene.
Ooh. Oh, Halloween. I can't even. I can't. I can't.
But I've seen her die in a myriad of other movies. Those are the only two that have ever really like gotten under my skin.
When I went to Ithaca College, we were coming home. My roommate and I, we had just seen Halloween, and we're walking to our dorm, and we're in the dorm, and we go to sleep, and all of a sudden I hear something tapping at the window. Tap, tap, tap.
Oh,
and I opened the shades, and it was a knife with blood hitting the window. It was the guys upstairs.
My God, that's terrible.
They were just screwing around. But I can't see that movie. So I know that you had a lot of hangovers.
I did. Yeah, it's a wonder why I ever drink at all. I haven't in a very long time, though. I just won't do it to myself anymore.
What's your go-to drink?
I love a good wine, red or white, like either a really good smooth cab or a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand is always a go-to for me, or like a spicy margarita.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So you like red wine?
Oh, yeah.
So do you ever go to Napa?
Yeah, Napa's my go-to.
Okay. Have you had Opus One?
I have, and you know what? Like the whole $600 bottle. I prefer like Frank Family is a great Napa wine. What's the other one I love? Nickel and Nickel. Like the $100 bottles are the ones that I really like the most.
We have a friend who works at Opus. She's like one of the executives, so she always like invites us, and we go and we have our little wine
then
taste.
If it's free, go drink all the Opus wine.
Exactly. And I was blown away. I was like, but we like to try all the different.
Yeah.
I wanted to. So when you were wait, how old were you when your mom was doing ET?
I was not born.
You weren't born?
No. It was pre me.
Pre you. So because I know. So you hung out with Michael J. Fox when you were little.
I did. That was on the set of The Frighteners when my dad passed, and when we went back, he would use his breaks to play Foursquare with me, and was like totally hanging out with us all the time. I have very, very fond memories of that man.
Yeah, he seems like a cool person.
Yeah,
really cool guy. Well, you've had a life.
I have, and I'm only 32.
I can't believe you're 32. I mean, I really can't believe I'm talking to a 32-year-old because you seem because you have so much wisdom. You have so much. You're so mature.
Thank you.
You're so mature, and you are so inspirational to so many women out there, and to so many young women out there, teenage girls. I want to thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm happy to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
It was really, I had a blast with you. And I can't wait to read the second book.
Yes, you'll have to let me know.
So what is it called? The second book?
The Ridiculous Misadventures of a Single Girl.
Love it. Love the title. Well, think of a restaurant. We're going to go to lunch.
Okay.
I want to hear
I'm
more.
ready.
Okay.
I love
bring
it.
mom. Bring mom.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll just shoot the shit for like 3 hours.
Perfect. With some red wine. Great.
I'll bring the bottle.
Perfect.
I got it. It's right here. It's right.
Is
it's right
it an
next to
Opus
me.
One though?
No, okay. I'm not doing Opus One. You don't like no $600
Don't waste
bottle.
it on me.
No, I'll bring the one I'll bring a good one. What do you like? Pinot? You like Pinot Noir, Merlot, or Cabernet?
Pinot or a Cab.
Got it.
Yeah. Love it.
I can't wait. I love you.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you so much.
Bye, honey. Mwah. I want to thank my guest, Gabrielle Stone. for being on my show today. Don't forget to pick up her book, Eat, Pray, FML. Fuck my life. You're going to love it. And I also want to thank my producer, Alan Tuzinski, Melissa Letter. Pretty Easy Podcast is the way to go. And my writer, Adam Levarkin, and my composer, Jeff Urban. And until next time, leaning out.
Lean in, Lisa, put her to the test. Lean in, Lisa, so get it off your chest. It's more than just a trend, 'cause everyone's her friend. So lean in with Lisa, spend your time with Lisa. Lisa's got something to say. So reach out to Lisa every day.